This is Brownies Podcast.
Welcome to Brownies Podcast. Jonathan Brown is here. Well, he's up north. How you going?
Thank you very much. Cannon 1 and Cannon 2 are here as well.
All right, we'll get to what you're wearing in a second, but Campbell Brown has gone to the Kentucky Derby, and instead we have our friend Nathan.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Yes, he's got a background in football.
I want to swap with Brandy. I want to travel the world, and he can stay here.
Yeah, well, I don't think you want to swap with Campbell in general, but just for this trip, I think you're referring to.
Did we see him with the Diamante mask on? Did you see that?
Yes, I did.
What's going on?
Do you know what we're talking about, John?
No.
Campbell on
What are we
social
talking
media.
about?
He was wearing a diamond mask. It looked like a kind of like a disco gimp mask, and he was.
It's one of those swinger parties, isn't
Who's
it?
Kylie Gulliver?
Yeah, Kylie Gulliver Beck. Please find out who Kylie Gulliver is.
Because he was Kylie Gulliver's story.
Yeah.
Then Campbell is there with this Diamante gimp mask on. There's a phrase you've never heard before.
It's a disco gimp mask, and he pulled it off. Hey, we've got a lot to come, including Bucks. And we're going to show you, Jonathan, one of the greatest Falcons. You were calling the game, actually, when this little girl got taken out. But then Bucks reminded of another one. We're going to find out, Brody, who knows more about football between Nathan and John during his tenure. So how long do we have Bucks for? How many episodes?
We've got him for the next 3 today, Friday, and Monday.
Part quiz, or is it? Are you doing it over 3?
Of course I am. To crown the champion. But let's get to the footy first. Geelong, both of you Peanuts said that the Cats weren't that good because they hadn't played anyone yet. A fact that is... Jonathan, how do you respond?
Thanks, Dean. I like how you've paraphrased that incorrectly. I just questioned. No, you know what? I didn't even question it. I just tossed it up, Dino. And I said, look, we can't be convinced about the Cats until they play someone of authenticity, which they did on the weekend, and they beat Carlton, and they beat them.
Well.
It wasn't comfortably in the end because Carlton did come late, but Geelong are the real deal. And now, with some older veterans in that team that are still stars, no question about that, it gives Chris Scott and his coaching staff the luxury to manage the players for the rest of the season, Bucks, much like 2022. And we all know what happened in 2022, my friends.
The grand final ever.
Your old teammate, Chris Scott.
Yeah, my old
And what he
teammate,
was able to
Chris
achieve.
Scott.
Look, I'm going to do something.
Your
that
old teammate as well, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
correct. No, he didn't. No, he
No.
came in 94 after I left at the end of 93. He was actually the pick 12, which was in the trade. So Chris Scott was picked up pick 12. So it was a
You're
one
the
for one. I
reason
think they've
for
done
him
really
getting to
well.
Brisbane.
I'm going to do something that no one in the sports media does, admit they were wrong.
Yeah, thank God.
Yeah, so I thought
Why
that
would you do
Geelong
that?
would have another down year before coming back up. You know, didn't know how their older players. Yeah, that's enough. I don't want any more applause for that. Thank you. They've done remarkably well. They've got youth that are coming through, all playing their roles exceptionally well. Their old blokes won't go away, and they have got a great coach that's pulling them all together. They're the brand of footy they're playing, and they'll improve it as they go along as well. They're going to be very hard to beat.
Would it be enticing, Bucks, as a veteran, an older veteran, say you're playing for another club and you're trying to eke out another couple of years of your career, instead of chasing the big bucks, the Cats come to you and say, hey, Bucks, you can move down to the coast, the Bellarine Peninsula, you can buy yourself a farm, you can milk a few dairy cows, or you can go and have a surf in the morning down with Danger. Going to play for a couple $100,000 less, but you're only going to be at the club half the amount of time. This seems to be, I'm not sure whether it's mythical, but it seems to be this culture that Geelong have created as to why they can just keep these players playing well into their...
I think you might be onto something. And here's a $2 million farm for 1.3. Like there maybe.
Oh, look out! Oh, jeez.
I'm just trying to imagine what world where the enticing milking cows would get Bucks over the line.
Well, maybe we haven't seen this type of impropriety, Bucks, since the Vizzy deal. Our man Chris Jones.
No. Well, we know
He's convinced to move home from West Coast.
We know where premiership medallions are going to end up when that's the case. So Jezza Cameron's ended up on one of his calves.
That's
There
right.
you go.
Hey,
No,
later in
they've
the
got a good
pod,
setup down there.
later in the pod, we're going to talk about Brownie's first car. Bucks, I need to know what your first car was when we get there. Jonathan, what other takeaways from this round?
I want to know, because Bucks, there's very few coaches. Everyone lauds Chris Scott, and he wins it this year. He's a genius. He'll go down as one of the all-time great coaches. No question about that, to have premierships, not only the start of his career, but to get the Cats up in 2022, but to be able to rejuvenate this list and come again in 2024 when they looked gone last year. Not many coaches have got a good coaching record against him, but our man Bucks is at least 50-50 against the great man. How did you go coaching against? How did you find coaching against Chris Scott, Bucks?
It was tough. It was tough, but we got there. Just a little bit better than 50-50, Brownie. Thank you. But there's not many. I think Chris is nearly at 70% sort of win-loss. It's high 60s. And
Is it the
just
highest
keeps going.
coaching record,
He's only
Bucks?
had one. He's only had one losing season, if you consider it. If we're talking in an American perspective, he would be the winningest coach. Use that word. They only use that over there. And the other one, he's only had I think it was Mike Tomlin, who's basically has had 17 or 18 seasons in a row without a losing season as coach of Philly.
Pittsburgh,
Pittsburgh. And I think Chris's record's been enormous. Last year was the only year where they lost more than they'd won. So that's how consistent he's been. He is very difficult to coach against, but it's more the relationships that you hear that he builds with not just his senior players, but and the young guys as well seem to reflect really well off his leadership, and whether that's the development coaches, but they keep getting it done. The Cats, you can't knock them. They're doing real well.
Another takeaway from the round, Dockers needed to win. Doggies, that hurts. If you're a Doggies fan, you're in a bit of disarray. The tiny Eagles bubble that really didn't exist burst as well. But back to the
But you're still representing.
Yeah, thank you. The Dockers-Doggies game. Darcy's son obviously plays Bucks. What's his first name again?
Samuel.
Samuel?
Sam Darcy, yeah.
If you were dad commentating a game where your son was playing, how would you go with the feedback?
Feedback against my
Towards
young
your son.
fella, I would probably be very hard for me not to be critical of my fella who was running around. I don't know. You want to see him do well, and you're at the top, but like Sam is giving his dad every reason for his chest to swell in the commentary box. He's going
The danger, Bucks, would be that you want to feel like you don't want to be accused of just sitting in the back of the commentary box and saying nothing. So the danger would be to overcompensate and to throw out maybe too much suggestion or criticism towards your son. But Luke Darcy had this challenge, didn't he, Dino, on the weekend, Saturday night? It was great to see. And I think Darcy a few times slid towards the back of the commentary box, Dino.
Direct opponent's Luke Ryan, so there's a serious height advantage.
3 goals against the Cats in gather round.
Close to the man on the mark, which is a bit of a habit.
It's a bit of a habit. It's been a bit of a habit. He's been doing it since he was 5. But that's the thing. That's the thing, because you know them so well.
Yeah.
You think, how many times have I told you, son?
Oh, man. If you were Sean, I'd be so shitty hearing that back. I get it, Dad. Sam, if you were Sam,
Just telling the whole world.
I'd be so annoyed. Like, Dad, just be normal. All right, so he had another chance.
Well, he still hasn't got over. We was coaching him in the under-13s, and he missed one after the siren in the grand final, Dino.
Sam had another chance on the siren, 3/4 time.
Can someone step up and finish here for the Dogs? Darcy! Some pressure on this kick. It'll come after the siren.
Just has a habit of getting a bit close to the man on the mark, Jason.
I was going to ask you how you noticed that. He slots it. Dogs back within a kick.
He couldn't resist it.
He could help himself.
He just had to do it. Oh, man.
Oh, jeez.
All right,
He's
so-
been told a million times. He just couldn't help himself.
Also from the weekend, Bucks, I was at the pub watching, I was at the Grandview Hotel in Brunswick watching the Eagles-Suns game, a game that no one on this planet gives about.
I did. I had 3 girls in the car though, Dino. That we had girls' footy yesterday morning.
Yeah.
And I said to Liv and her mates, they got beaten by 10 goals, by the way, by anyone that wants to know. And I got accused of coaching while I was the runner.
Oh, did you?
Yes. Well, I forgot the girls' names and I forgot which girls had to come off. So I got caught in the middle of the ground and the opposition coach yelled out, "Get off the ground, Brown, and stop coaching."
Jesus.
Well, were you or not?
I wasn't coaching, mate. I was asking the other girls, what's that girl's name over there, number 23, because I've got to take her off.
That's what I'd say if I was coaching on the field.
Yeah, right on.
I wasn't.
But then afterwards, I took the girls to the footy and they were so excited, Dino. These teenage girls around Australia, so excited about Harley Reid. And the comment only came in as we drove into the stadium. Geez, I can't wait to watch Harley Reid in action today. I said, sorry to be the bearer of bad news, girls, but he's not playing. He's been managed. Jesus, they were as flat as pancakes.
Brownie was calling the game. I knew the Eagles, they went real bad in the third quarter, Bucks. Like, it went real pear-shaped.
Started well, though.
So I just slung Brownie a text. Hey, drop the word spasmodic during your call because we like that word. It's a great word. We say it a lot on this podcast. And just have a listen to this ridiculous man. How casually he drops the word spasmodic into his commentary to amuse one man.
Now, what are you focused on now, Brownie? Like, there's not great service coming in for the forwards, but it's just about, you just got to compete, try to hold it in. It's just bouncing out of the mid-zone far too easy on turnover.
And very spasmodic, the entries.
You had a good think about whether you were going to drop it too.
I'm going, how am I going to weave this in? Just the right level. It just sort of flies enough under the radar.
You said it real casual, yeah, very spasmodic.
In the back end of my coaching, used to get a word from the players. It's just like just that I'd had to get into a presser during the week. So, or if it was on AFL 360, it was a bit of fun. It's a good game to play.
Good game to play. What about, that's a bit like Pang last year at the Logies, Dino, when for our amusement, he walked out on stage as Lee Matthews. You know the distinctive Lee Matthews walking from the quarter time or 3/4 time huddle, walking out of the huddle. And it's a very distinctive walk with the sort of fingers out and the arms crossing the body.
No, Brownie, Pang describes it as the arms orbit the body like a planet. So it's like this. And straight back.
Yeah.
And it's a sachet.
And he's got that real straight back. It's like he's got a big rod up his back and he means business. Well, Pang told us as he's going to walk out on stage for the Logies, which about 500,000 people around Australia, probably more watching, and only 3 people would have got it. He walked out as Lee Matthews for the Logies.
Everyone else said, geez, that bloke walks funny.
Just for John and I. What a ridiculous human.
What a ridiculous human.
That's what life's all about.
Yes, it is.
Entertain you, mate. Hey, what did you think about Jack Higgins' suspension, Bucks? We did that game on Friday night. Jack Higgins from St Kilda tackled Alia, and he's been given or offered 3 weeks from the match review officer. You think he was a bit stiff, Bucks?
I've thought that this head contact issue, especially with the tackles, is really hard to slate back to the tackler. There's a few actions that we're trying to avoid, and that slinging motion, and we're talking about the arm being pinned. And they were all there, but there's no doubt that the bloke being tackled either makes it harder or easier for that to happen. And I think this time Alia was a little bit off balance, trying to kick the footy. So Jack Higgins has got some reasons to be a little bit aggrieved with how that came about. But 3 weeks is too much for me. I thought it would be 2 because he ends up being concussed or goes out with concussion, and that's really. Yeah, that's where you get your penalty because of the impact to the tackler or person tackled.
I'd like to see. It just seems so rigid, the MRO officer's rules and guidelines that he has to work within when he has to hand out the suspension. They obviously look at the table of offence. It adds up to 3 weeks. Obviously, they're going to take it to the tribunal, but surely there should be some wriggle room about how the player that's getting tackled or the victim, let's call them, contributes to the situation. There just seems to be no wriggle room.
No, well, there hasn't. The onus is on the tackler, and that's actually in the writing. The onus is on the tackler. The duty of care the tackler is responsible for that because he is apparently the aggressor in that action. So whatever comes out of it, he's responsible for.
John.
What about the fact that Aaliyah was concussed last year in a very controversial situation where the doctor was criticised for not ruling him out? And so no doubts this time around the Port Adelaide doctor would have been ultra conservative, even though Aaliyah probably passed the SCAT test. Should that come into play in the match review officer's findings?
Well, it doesn't, but it should. And the other one is you might end up, unfortunately, tackling someone who has a predisposition to being concussed compared to someone who doesn't. Does that mean that you deserve an extra week for tackling a bloke that has a predisposition to concussion?
Yeah.
I mean, so that's what we're dealing with, and right now it's a blanket. We want to get rid of head trauma, and I understand that, but it is a contact game, so you're not going to get rid of it altogether. And we're still going through the throes of working out exactly what actions we want to try and eliminate from the game, who's accountable for it, and what the threshold for that responsibility and duty of care is.
Hey, Hawks, how cooked are they compared to, say, North?
Well, I think they're equally cooked, which is saying something. But Hawthorn only had 3 less inside 50s than Sydney. But
Really?
Yeah, only kicked the 5 goals. Was that what they had?
Jesus.
Yeah, only 5 goals. He looks frustrated, Sammy Mitchell, low bucks there.
A bit more.
Your third year in now. There's, I suppose, a bit of time pressure now. He'd be frustrated with the way the year started off, especially after they finished reasonably strongly in the second half of last year, considering they knocked over the 2 grand finalists.
Yeah, well, now I'm on the outside looking in. You should have a look at how much heat all of the coaches are under.
Yeah.
So you got Scott down the Scott Longmire, all right. Yeah, Kingsley's flavour of the moment, and GW Ursa flying. Simon Goodwin's had his moments. Hinkley's always under the gun.
Yeah, always.
Vossi's going all right. Brad Scott's
Fags.
doing well. Longmuir's under the gun. Fags is under the gun now. Simo is trying to work his way through it. But in the end, the longer you're in it, the more likely it is that you're going to be under the cosh at some point. And Sam Mitchell at the moment is starting to move into that. And if we don't see the improvement, if you don't see the progress from this young group, it's a tough gig. But these are the hard yards you got to grind through.
And that's the danger. I guess that's the danger, Bucks, of a young coach. And yes, of course, he's going to have time. We're not saying that Sam Mitchell's going to get sacked, so he's got a few years. But that's the danger of cutting hard at the start of your tenure. And Sam Mitchell came in and cut hard with the list and said, right, I'm going to mould all these younger players and bring them through together. And I guess that's the danger if just the balance gets a little bit out of whack. You get a few injuries and end up really young.
We ignore the cut and thrust, the ups and downs of progress and development. It's not linear. You don't go in a straight line on a 45-degree angle and you're just going to keep going on that. You're dealing with, and when you do cut hard and you don't have quite as much leadership, you've got a lot of guys between the age of 21 and 24 and they're still going up and down and working themselves out, still affected heavily by what's happening off-field. And it takes a little bit of time for a group to mature, let alone an individual as they get along. So I'd just stay the course. He's a good coach. He seems like a good manager. And, there's got to be some tough love at certain stages, and I reckon the young Hawks might be getting that at the moment.
The only positive out of that day, Dino, though, was the fact that the great Lance Buddy Franklin was at the MCG yesterday for the supporters. Mainly Hawthorn supporters would have been there, but obviously he played. He's a great player for both clubs, Hawks and the Swans. And our man, Brown Dog, a former premiership teammate of his, it was interesting on Friday at the podcast, Dino, when I posed the question to Brown Dog, do you think Lance Franklin, any chance that he'll be there at the footy at the MCG on Sunday, considering this is the first time he's been retired and it's a game between his 2 former club? And he said,
not a chance.
Quote,
not a chance.
Not a chance. Not a chance.
This is a long pattern, Bucks, of there being a disconnect between Campbell Brown and his former teammates. They keep on letting him down. They don't rock up to key milestones for him. For example, Shane Crawford was supposed to be at the Kentucky Derby with him on this mate's trip. And Campbell's
Where
like,
is
yeah,
he?
me and my mate Shane are going to the
He's not
Kentucky
there.
Derby together. And then we get a text from Campbell on the weekend. Bros, were you on this text thread? From Dog saying, oh, Shane can't come, ... He said he had child responsibilities. What kind of last minute is that? And also, do you think his former teammates are friends with him?
It does reek of the fact that he just didn't want to go and was just stringing Dog along. And Dog's like, yeah, I'll see you there. Yeah, mate. Yeah, I'll be there.
John?
Do we
I love the
do
fact
we
that he
actually
built him
know?
up.
Do we actually know that Shane was committed at any point?
No, we don't.
Absolutely not.
Was is,
Only
is there
through
a
Brown Dog.
Is there a possibility that Dog ran with this as a plausible
Yes.
reason that he needed
Yes.
to go,
Yes.
knowing all along that it wasn't happening?
Mate,
To give the trip credibility, I'm just going to toss up Shane Crawford's name. Then everyone will think, oh yeah, that's a credible one, because everyone's been going, who are you going with, Dog? But he rolled in really hard, didn't he? Rolled in strongly to the studio last week, Dino, and said, Shane Crawford's going. It's going to be great. That's why I'm not doing 3 podcasts. That's why Bucks is replacing me. And we were straight away
skeptical at best.
skeptical because he did preface it with, oh, by the way, Wayne, as he calls him, Wayne hasn't answered my calls or text message for 4 days.
Also, as of last week, Bucks, Croft hadn't bought a ticket, a plane ticket.
It's a dead giveaway. Isn't
Alarm bells. And then with one
Those
day,
alarm bells.
he shoots a text saying, can't come, kid stuff. That's some bros.
Well, the week leading into it, his answering machine, all of a sudden, the phone was going straight through the answering machine and there was no answering machine. So that was obviously a strategic ploy by Croft just to shake Brown Dog's tag.
Well, he's had more experience at dealing with Dog than anyone of us, so he's probably, we should assume, his tactics.
After the ads, we're going to talk about first cars. I got to know what Bucks's was. It must have been something flash, something expensive, surely. Also, and then later on, these two are going to go head to head in a quiz to find out who knows more and who should actually be on the couch. Welcome back to Brownies Podcast. Follow us at Brownies Podcast on social media, Instagram and TikTok. Before we get
Got
into
him the
first-
day of life too, Dino. Did you see that video me and Brown Dog did the other day? A day in the life for retired AFL football. Went for a gym session, and as we know, Brown Dog loves watching those horse races on the phone. I nearly got strangled on the bench press.
At Brownies Podcast, before we talk about first cars, I want to enjoy a Falcon from the weekend. It was technically a half Falcon because it came off the ground and took out a crowd member. Can you see that screen over here, Bucks, if I loop it over here?
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
it playing over there? So let's have a look.
Oh.
Oh, bang. And then she falls out of shot. So it takes her out. And then this little girl's gone. John, you were watching the game. You
I was.
called this.
I called it, and then she tipped over as well.
Bang.
She caught one in the head, and then she fell over as well. She lost balance.
Bang.
I think the fact that that's come off the ground and that's taken a lot of momentum off that pill.
Yeah.
She's so, like, imagine that we've seen it before when you get the ones that are flush, like from 50 metres out, someone's not quite paying attention.
Yeah.
There's a couple of those I've seen in the NBA, the basketball, where they'll be looking sideways and you've got the slow-mo of their cheek that ends up around their eyebrow. They're the good ones.
Drew Banfield famously kicked a goal and a little kid put their arm out to stop it. And it came so hard, broke his arm.
What was she
Oh,
up for?
really?
Drew Banfield was went to prison for it. And
Yeah, with Cuzzy.
no, but he actually.
Now, that's why you couldn't kick the balls into the crowd after games. So it used to be the tradition after we'd have wins up at the Gabba that you'd go around and kick the balls up into the crowd that you'd signed until there was a couple of accidents. So they're pretty conscious of it now from a legal point of view, Dino. But yeah, she copped to that girl in the head. She would have got the HIA. I'm not sure she'll play next week.
She is okay. Let's just say back. She is fine. I edited it so we just see her fall out of shot.
What
But
about the
it's-
guns that shoot those little those T-shirts up in the concerts?
Yes.
I've always thought if I had one of those, I'd level it out a little bit. Just go straight into the crowd. All right, you just see how good your slip catches. I reckon it'd be the last time you did it, wouldn't it?
John, tell us about your first car.
First car, well, I went to Brisbane as an 18-year-old and got a VS Commodore Series 2. Yeah, it was good. I wanted a reliable car. I loved it. Back in the days when fuel prices were about 60 cents a litre. Remember those days, Bucks? And I drove that thing around the suburbs like I was Peter Brock with the 05 painted on. No question about that.
Did it have a spoiler, man? Did it have skirting? Did it have rims? Take us through it.
A CD player. It was pretty basic. Didn't have the rims, but I had a real good CD player. Used to love listening to Powderfinger back in those days. Oasis, definitely Guns N' Roses. Always got a run.
Pearl Jam.
Yes, Pearl Jam.
Pearl Jam. Melissa Etheridge.
Oh, wow.
And Belinda Carlisle. How many bangers did Belinda Carlisle have?
Mate,
Just one after
Did
the other.
the Cranberries ever get a run? with
Zombie.
you? The Zombie, yeah, that. To the Faithfully Departed. Yes. Great album.
Not so much the Cranberries, the Bangles did. Manic Monday. Used to love Manic Monday. That would really fire up. That'd be a wind down the window song, Bucks. So that was a good car. It was reliable. Never broke down except for when I was doing reverse donuts in the car park at Cooperoo where we trained. And also my cousin Marcus Picken, son of Billy Picken, who was on the Brisbane list, he was doing reverse donuts as well in his Nissan Pulsar. And and because it was a dirt car park, it got real dusty. We lost where each other was, and we actually smashed into each other, crashed into each other. So
Jesus.
His car, the VS Commodore, was fixed up the boot, and the Pulsar was written off.
I don't know where I've been.
You got $500 for it at the Wreckers.
I don't know where I've been my whole life. What's a reverse donut?
Just bang it in reverse and give it to it. Lock it up, and
It'll
whips
go.
out. Oh yeah.
Yeah, and we like I said, Bucks. It was sort of. It was like Days of Thunder, when there was that big crash and Cole Trickle just had to drive straight through it. Harry Hogg said, just drive straight through it. Remember that movie, Bucks, Days of Thunder? And
yes,
I drove through it. I drove through the clouds. Unfortunately, Pico was on the other side. The Pulsar was written off.
So to get this straight, you were aware of the danger because visibility was 0, but you were thinking, no, Cole Trickle, Harry Hogg has instructed me to persevere.
Yeah. He said, if you, I know it in my heart. You can drive through it, Cole. You can drive straight through it. And I thought I was Cole Trickle in that very moment. Unfortunately, I wasn't, Dino, because I hit the car on the other side of the debris.
You're a ridiculous man. And by the way,
I was
Beck,
ridiculous.
I
was 18 though, Dino.
A CD is a compact disc. And
Thank you.
They used to hold up to 30 songs.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a really long Spotify playlist.
Yes.
Bucks, first car.
Well, my first car had a cassette player in it. Before a CD, I'll show you what one of those is later.
A cassette looks like a small biscuit. And it's
with
got
2
tape
holes in it.
Can you eat it?
You cannot eat it. Bucks.
My first car was a Datsun 120Y. Rusty orange. It had a couple of holes in it behind the rear wheels where whatever used to get thrown up there and it was rusted out. I actually would have failed a roadworthy if it were brought into the modern day. Mum tried to sell it for $900 off the front yard at Bougainvillea Street in Darwin.
Yes.
There was no takers over 3 months, so she offered it to me for $500, and I took that.
Good deal.
What a deal.
So it had little 13-inch rims, little tiny, the ones that people use to replace their flat tyres now. The one it pretty much had 4 of those. So I did.
How did it go? How was it under what was under the bonnet, mate? Did it have much kick under the bonnet?
It had an engine, yep, and it used to work. It used to work periodically, but no, so I did what any young man would do. I put a $1,200 stereo system in it.
Yes.
And then at one point, the brakes didn't work, and I went straight through a red light. I had to get the master cylinder replaced, which cost me another $1,600. So already I've tipped $3,000 into a car that's worth $500. So I don't know if that was my best investment. Ended up driving it up to Darwin about 7 months later. Took me a week to get from Adelaide to Darwin. New tyres, a whole story of stuff that went on there, and got it up. And 24 hours later, it got written off. Got T-boned and written off, and it had to send it to
The Wreckers.
To the Wreckers, and it probably deserved to be there 5 years earlier, to be honest. But yeah, it was a good car.
Mine was
No one here great investments.
Mine was a 70s Galant, and the driver's door didn't open, and I used to deliver pizzas in it. So every goddamn delivery bucks, I had to climb over the gear stick to get out
Really?
to give those pizzas.
Not an ideal match
No,
for the
mate.
job that you had at the time.
No, and talk about roadworthy. Imagine taking that over the pits. No, there's a problem. The driver's door doesn't open. I don't know how that got over, bros.
That is magnificent.
I remember when we were in high school in year 12, Fat Ben, who was one of the boys in our group, we all collectively called Fat Ben.
That's nice.
He loved the nickname
And he
Fat
wouldn't
Ben.
have that nickname now, but yeah.
And so Fat Ben, and he'd been touting for weeks and kind of almost like teasing us, like, boys, I'm getting a car. He was the first one to turn 18. Boys, I'm getting a car. Boys, I'm getting a car. Boys, I'm getting a car. Eventually, he rocks up to school, and we go to greet him before school, and he reveals his car to us. And it's like a maroon, like mid-80s Ford Falcon.
Yes.
But the entire roof had collapsed in, like all the thing had been peeling off the ceiling, so he had to kind of like squeeze his head in under it, and you couldn't actually sit in the car. And the speedo didn't work, so the only way you could tell how fast you were going was by other people on the road. So you'd have to try and like balance, so you go exactly the same speed. That would give you a kind of a rough feel for how fast you're going.
Hey,
brilliant.
how was
But
the
he
feeling?
got status from it, didn't he?
Oh, yeah.
He's the first one with the car.
Oh yeah.
He was knee deep in women from that. Sorry about that. Hey, how about that feeling when you first get your license and you're driving on your own?
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't
Oh.
it? I got pulled over, Dino. First night.
Did you?
Yeah, in Warrnambool. Yep, first night in Warrnambool. I'd been down to celebrate with my mates at the pub. Of course, didn't have a drink, but they were getting carried away that I got beer spilt on me and sprayed on me like a Gatorade shower after a team wins a game and the boys are in the middle of the theme song.
Yeah.
And the copper said to me, "I'm putting you on the breatho." So why is that? And he said, "Because you smell of beer." And I said, "Well, I've had a lot of beer spilled on me. I swear I haven't been drinking."
Which
he said,
does, hey, to
"I
be
don't
fair,
believe you."
that does sound like. But yes, what happened?
Absolutely, mate. My heart was jumping out of my chest. But there you go, Dino. So I was absolutely myself.
Mate,
The drinking and driving doesn't mix.
we're recording this. It's 12:11 right now. What time
Yeah.
is it in Kentucky? What about if we just cold called that turkey Campbell Brown? I'm just trying to find.
About 8 o'clock at night, wouldn't it? He'll be there.
Well, bros, can you put it in the system? Because if he's loaded, we could get anything out of him right now.
I'm up for this.
Yes. Still to come, the quiz between Jonathan and Nathan, the loser. Obviously knows nothing about football. And Kentucky Derby is when? Does anyone know? Has it happened yet? Beck?
I'll have a look. And I've got some breaking news for you while we have a look at that too, Dino. We very rarely get breaking news on this podcast.
Yeah.
Rory Sloane retired.
Really?
There you go. What a great career, Rory Sloane. He a ripping bloke as well. He had an eye problem late in his career. So there you go. Rosa, the Adelaide legend, is retired.
All right, Broads is dialing the number. We are calling Kentucky.
He's a star. Love that bloke, the way he went
Oh, he's
about
a
it.
ripper.
I always
Yeah.
thought, I watched him play, I thought, he is the type of bloke that will play in a flag, just the type of attitude that he brought, and he put his body on the line. Had the chance in 17 and they fell short, but yeah, that's he gave everything though.
Congrats.
Left no stone unturned. Here he is. Come on.
Pick up, you son of a...
So we know what time it is over there?
8 something?
It
Well,
is.
Brownie just guessed the
Probably more likely to get an answer at 2 in the morning.
Although he's not the sort of guy that would pick up a private number, is he? Because of his various gambling debts and whatnot.
Well, it's 10 o'clock in New York. Nashville's 9 o'clock. It's close to Nashville, isn't it?
Oh, well. Can you just text him, bro? Oh,
Sorry, I can't come to the phone right now. Leave a message. I'll endeavour to call you back.
Of course you will.
I promise.
dog, call us back, or we're going to try and call you back before the end of the pod. Bro,
How's Crawf enjoying his trip round, dog?
Hey, the Carlton draft is back. I thought this concept was gone, but explain what it is again, John.
Well, we thought Bucks ruined it last year when he tore his hamstring off the bone about 8 minutes in.
Neil Madanam are two wins from 3 games this year. They hadn't won for 2 years. They didn't win when I played. But just a bit of encouragement, and they're flying.
But just a reminder, we just took a busload of people to go watch Bucks play
for 9 minutes.
Country footy for 9 minutes. And mate, I'm not just blowing smoke, but you were in it.
Yeah.
You were hungry.
Yeah, and you came. We sat on the bench. You interviewed me. Yeah, that was like cutting edge journalism.
Mate, it was great. I loved it. It was fantastic giving back there. This year, Trent Cotchin, Isaac Smith,
Okay.
Dylan Buckley, Matthew Lloyd, and Joey Montagna playing. Aaron Phillips may be playing as well. So just big names there. Absolute big names. And tomorrow night is the Carlton draft, Dino. We're going along. Beck's going along as well.
We're going back.
To see, absolutely, to see where these guys get drafted. Tuesday night at the Crown Casino, so it should be a bit of fun. We'll have a few beers there, and I look forward to putting my commissioner's suit on with the red tie and just doling out these draft picks to the various towns around Victoria.
You're at Crown Casino this year. Last year, the tight only did the spread eagle.
That is.
Yeah, we're at the pub at Crown, so that'll be awesome. Tuesday night, can't wait.
Something happens to John when he becomes a commissioner. It feels like he's like doing WWE wrestling acting. You know what I mean?
Yes, I do.
Like he gets elevated and he doesn't turn it off. I think it's.
Buck saw that last year when I strode out to the middle of Neil Madarden Footy Club.
He gets that one going with the hands.
He does. It's very Trumpy.
It's enormously Trumpy.
Yeah, I'm inspired.
We can't be a commissioner without doing that.
So just to be clear, Beck and I are coming to the draft tomorrow night.
Yeah, you'll be at the draft. We'll so be on Brownie's podcast. Beck will rip it all up. Dino, we'll have a few interviews there for the crew, and it's going to be good fun.
All right, coming back after ads, the quiz between these two to find out who knows more about footy in 3 podcasts while Bucks is with us. Did Campbell get back to your text, brother? We might try Campbell again and see how we go. Back in a second. Welcome back to Brownie's podcast. Nathan Buckley's here, and I got to say, we love you, Bucks. Are you enjoying yourself?
I'm having a ball.
Yeah.
I love it.
I don't know if that sounded sincere.
You know what? If we can just keep Brownie, keep Dog over in America, keep giving him events to go to with Croft, and we'll be all good.
I just love touching Buckley.
Do you?
Yeah.
Take us through that.
Every time he comes in, he shakes your hand
Yeah.
or gives you a little cuddle, and just makes me feel.
You feel
warm.
safe.
Still doing the
feels like
yoga,
dad to me.
Bucks?
Sorry, mate.
He's still doing the yoga?
No, a little bit less. Yeah, not quite as zen as I was last year.
I know you're not running as much because you did your calf
My calf
again the other
again.
day.
All right, I want to know who knows more about footy between you two. Your names are your buzzers.
The answer to that is Gary Lyon.
Gaz knows everything.
Yes, he loves it.
But out of you two, okay, your names are your buzzers. Which demon booted 3 goals in just his 4th game?
Big John.
John?
Daniel Turner.
Jeez, he's good. That's a good start.
I thought you were talking about when we were playing.
No, mate, this is just general footy.
Okay, all good.
Well, we're current
Well done,
pundits,
Brownie.
Bucks.
Well done, Brownie.
John, I'm proud of you.
Thank
Let's
you.
just give you another ding. Yeah, nice. Who is the only player to have played in all 9 Anzac Eve matches between Richmond and Melbourne?
Bucks.
Bucks?
Nick Floston.
Are you going to lock that in?
Yeah.
Incorrect. John, free hit.
Big John.
Yes.
I'm going to go with Max Gawn because he's pretty consistent.
Incorrect. Needed Camden McIntosh.
Okay.
Camden McIntosh.
1-0. True or false? The Anzac Day clash between Essendon and Collingwood in '95 was also a draw.
Big John.
That's an easy one, and Big John, the answer is.
Thank you. The answer is that. A draw.
All right, you didn't actually.
And Bucks was part of that because he dominated the day, but he kicked it inside 50 instead of having a shot. It shouldn't have been a draw because Bucks would have kicked it from 60.
Defend yourself, Bucks.
Yeah, I was kicking from 80, but don't let the truth get in the way of a good story.
How many grand final appearances have Fremantle clocked up?
Big John.
Big John.
That would be one.
Correct.
He's
Bucks.
quick on the buzzer. I can't get
And
him.
he's on delay too, man. You should
Is
be
he really?
Yeah, man. But a fraction delay.
Some people would say I'm on
3
delay most of the time.
3-0 Bucks, you're going to get. That's your default position. 3-0 Bucks, you're going to get moving. How about preliminary final appearances for Fremantle? Bucks.
There's been 2.
Incorrect. Free hit, John.
Only one.
Needed 3. surprised me too. Freo have been to 3 prelim
Have
finals.
they? Beaten by... Don't know who they were beaten by.
Which club played home Anzac Day matches in New Zealand during the mid...
Big John.
Big John.
St Kilda.
Correct. One more and he's locked up this round.
I think.
Come on.
I think I've got the delay. Just quietly.
That doesn't make any sense.
I played one of those games at the Cake Tin in Wellington.
Considering you're right here, I think it's.
But we'll
Well, that's
check.
my excuse. Sticking with it.
We'll check this.
Demolition.
Scott Pendlebury notched up which statistical milestone
Yep.
against the Bombers? Bucks to get back in it.
10,000.
10,000 is
disposals.
correct. 4-1.
It was amazing the balance. Did you think he...
Yeah.
Was that a concerted effort in his career to have balance with
To be
his
1 for
kicks and
1.
handballs?
No, I don't think he was going around thinking that. But yeah, he.
It's amazing.
5,004 handballs. Is that right? 5,004 handballs and 4,996 kicks in that.
Yeah.
Both of you need to get this. You should know it. Who was Fitzroy's last ever captain in the AFL?
Big John.
Bucks, yes.
Boydie.
No, that was
Come
Big
on.
John.
Bullshit
Boyd.
was, John. I've got
No,
ears. All right? You got it, man.
They're painted on. That's what they are.
Even with the delay, you persevered.
Yep.
2-4.
Doing my best.
All you can do now at this point is wrap it up.
Okay.
Which of these players was not selected at number 1 in their draft year? Josh Fraser, Jude Bolton, or
Bucks. Jude Bolton.
he's gone early and he's got it correct.
He's
It's
correct.
3-4. Bucks can wrap it up.
Because they were in that same draft year.
Which club did Footscray defeat?
Big John.
Mate, you've gone way too early. You need more information, but please.
Defeat in the 1956 grand final. I'm going to go Geelong.
Incorrect, because the question is the 1954 VFL Grand Final.
Before it was.
Who did Footscray defeat? Free hit for you, Bucks, to tie it up. Wrong sound.
Footscray defeated Melbourne.
He nailed it. He did. Jeez.
John!
What
A draw.
Okay. I'll be checking to the... when we go back over the tape,
Hey.
I'll be checking the Brad Boyd question.
So he
by
knew
way.
the rest of that question.
No, he got it wrong, because he said
No, I know.
56.
Okay.
No matter what, I would have looked
No,
after
but
you
I
there.
knew the question. I just got the year wrong.
I know you knew the question. I think that you've been sent the questions. Anyway.
Bucks, the fact that you'd question my integrity
Not
hurts.
at all.
Bucks
Well,
is here. Yes, John?
Well, the fact that he used Footscray, and the only significant thing in Footscray's history was their only premiership before they become the Western Bulldogs. So
He's
just
sharp, isn't he?
deductions.
He is. He's weirdly sharp for
He
someone
is.
that's had that
Sharp
sort of,
as.
you know. Hey, thank you for being with us, man. We've got 2 more with you. We're going to end.
Yes.
And by the way, we're going to the draft, the Carlton draft. Beck, I'll see you there. Do we have to wear something flash or what?
Well, I do, but you guys can turn up in whatever, Dino.
Excellent.
Birthday
Tux.
suit if you want.
Now,
So
we
it's the standards have gone
to hell.
kind of puss.
We're going to leave the pod today with Brownie's delivery of Spasmodic in the commentary from the weekend. It takes a while to get to it because he's trying to deliver it real subtle. So see if you can tell when he delivers Spasmodic.
Now, what are you focused on now, Brownie? Like, there's not great service coming in for the forwards, but it's just about, you just got to compete, try to hold it in. It's just bouncing out of the mid-zone far too easy on turnover.
And very spasmodic, the entries.
See you, did you have it?